And that leads then to another one. And pretty soon that giant light worker that you thought you were a few years ago sits there in fear and worry. And that was not the design. And that is why in these times, this 24th multidimensional pair of chromosomes that you have, built for now, are starting to come alive. Shake hands with those who are around you, and suddenly these guides that you think you have, that perhaps you've heard or not heard of or seem elusive, all of a sudden they're in your face. And they're looking at you and they're saying, let us take this burden. Because we need your light. We don't need your fear. Because this can shut a human being down completely. It'll make them have no light, not want to be with anybody, want to be by themselves in a closet. How does that help humanity? And some will say, well, I'm just dealing with my own process. Well, how does that help humanity? It doesn't. What will help humanity is for you to awaken to a grander truth, and that is you have help all by yourself because you are never alone. Oh, think of this. Make this real. Now, I said this before, and I said it before. The last two weeks, I'm going to say it again next week. You have so much help right now. You can go right there and say, dear guides, dear angels that have come with me, I activate you now. To such an extent that my fears and my worries and my sorrow can be sucked away, dissipated, so that I can honor those perhaps I've loved and lost, or honor even the fears that I've had and said, well, that's very human, but I am beyond that. I am a multidimensional being. And those guides are going to then take it all. They're going to take it all. Imagine they were a giant vacuum cleaner and they could take away all of that which is dirty and ugly that keeps you from light. That's why they're there. But for the first time, again I'll say it, it's because of the time, because of what you've done with this 24th pair that has made all of the difference in the world. This is new, and we have told you that it is for you. Perhaps it's why you're watching this program and this episode. It's always been there. But now it is enhanced. You came in with this. You just never knew how to activate it. But now that all the nodes and the nulls are connected, that's another story, these things begin to come alive and become real to you. So you can call upon these guides anytime you wish, because they are you. They are a bigger part of you that is now inside you, in your biology, increasing you to a multidimensional being like you've never been before. You are not alone. You don't have to act alone. You don't have to carry the burden alone. You have help. And they're here. They're not in the clouds. They're here. Dear human being, blessed is that one of you listening here right now who will take this and work it, understand it, cognize it, and come away differently. It's not just for this meeting. This is the rest of your life. Maybe that's why you came. I'm crying in love with you all. Can you feel it? And so it is.
With that beautiful reminder that we are never alone, I invite you to bring the entire entourage of the loving help and support that is always with you to come on the journey back into your body. Bring your awareness, your presence, your energy into this physical vessel that holds your soul. And if you've had your eyes closed, I invite you to open up your eyes as we move into the next part of our program. We have a very special guest this evening. Her name is Marcela Lobos, and I want to make sure that she's there on the Zoom feed with us. Marcela, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. Well, we have met Marcela many times now on the Earth Keepers Summit, and she has an incredible work for the divine feminine. I have been so deeply touched by what she's able to share with us. But before we go into Marcela's story, we just want to tell you a little bit about her.
Well, Marcela arrived in hippie California, she calls it, at an age where she discovered a freedom she did not know was possible. Studies of yoga, massage, Ayurveda opened her eyes to a holistic life. But despite all these awakenings, her marriage and prompt motherhood didn't help her unheal childhood traumas and generational woundings.
Now, at the age of 30, while miserably drowning in the dark pool of her fears, and I think many of us have experienced that, that is when she was exposed to the shamanic path. With the force and speed of lightning, her life took a sharp turn towards her own healing and understanding the hero's journey. After a decade, she completed the core work of alchemizing her pain and sorrow into sources of wisdom and compassion. She was first initiated into the mystery teachings within the framework of the Four Winds Society, and then directly by the wisdom keepers of the Peruvian Andes and Amazon jungle.
Meanwhile, she returned to Chile, studied with the medicine women of the South, and created a retreat center in the mountains. This was done together with her second husband, Alberto Bioldo, shaman, author, and founder of the mystery school she had attended. Today, it's her passion to teach about the maps that guide us towards self-realization, and she is delighted to craft the rites of passage for women to step into their own beauty, power, and wisdom.
In 2009, Alberto and Marcela founded Los Cuatro Caminos, a school that shares in Spanish ancient shamanic teachings combined with contemporary wisdom. And since then, they have led hundreds of students through the Medicine Wheel and Munakai programs. So Marcela, welcome to our program, and please share with us this shamanic path that has completely changed your life and then the lives of many others.
Certainly, that's what happened. I was really hurt, wounded, disempowered, helpless, hopeless, all those things that we can feel at some point in our lives. And I found the shamanic path that is based in ancestral wisdom, and it really saved my life. That is why since then I dedicated my life to share the wisdom with others. And today I teach the medicine wheel. That was really the journey that helped me to transform. Together with the Moonai key rites, which are these initiations that accompany us in the journey, so we're guided by lineages of this ancestral wisdom. So I can relate a bit of the journey, how it was for me. In the beginning, I went through the formal setting of the medicine wheel, that it has its roots in the Andes, because there are medicine wheels from North America and other places, and each medicine wheel it has its own symbols, its own spirit guides, and because medicine wheels are compasses, platforms, time, space, platforms, tell us where we are and where we need to go somehow. Originally, they could be these circles that mark the seasons, the solstices, the equinoxes. That's why there are these circles with spokes marking certain directions. So in the Andean medicine wheel, we have 4 directions. The 4 directions are marked, and in the directions we have our guides, our symbols, and so forth. And it's interesting being a shamanic path, how we work with animal spirits, because shamanism is animistic. So shamans do converse, speak with the spirits of nature, with mountains, with the clouds. They can make it rain, they can stop the rain, they can change the weather. Their altars are the mountains, and they can source power and wisdom and healing from lakes, lagoons, waters, oceans. So it's a very connected tradition to nature and to the spirits of nature. So I love this path because it is so heartful, it's so beautiful, brings us back to our connection with nature. Nowadays, we all know how disconnected we are by looking at the screen, by looking at our cell phones all the time. We even forget to connect to our own bodies. And that could be the beginning. As we connect with our own bodies, we are connecting with nature, because we, of course, are made of the same elements: water, earth, fire, air, and so forth. But coming back to my story and my training, I was very wounded, as I said. And then as I went through the medicine wheel, I went through the direction of the south, and the spirit guide, the power animal of that direction is serpent. And serpent's gift is to teach us how to be skin to skin again with reality, with nature, as I said, but also to shed the skin that is outdated, old, that has all those woundings, the stories that we tell, that are these empowering stories. So it sounds like a very simple thing, and each direction as I go through, it will sound simple, but the process was very, very in depth. So I had to, through a series of initiations and exercises, I had to recognize what is that story that I keep repeating to myself, and not only my story, but the story that my mother and my grandmothers and my ancestors told to themselves and that lived through me. So with the exercises, I was able to just say, okay, I let go of this story. And we use the elements. So the fire, making a fire ceremony where I can burn that which I need to release. Then in the west direction, we work with the spirit of Jaguar. And I actually ended up literally in the jungles of the Amazon, and communing with my own eyes, seeing the jaguars. And so it was very visceral for me, this work with jaguar, with this great feline. And jaguar is the one that teaches us how to be fearless, how to look at life with courage. And the shamans say, even look at our own death with fierceness, fearless, courage. So look into all those places that still feel painful, where we still feel hurt and so forth. And then go through that process of dying, of allowing ourselves to die to whom we think we are, so we can discover whom we really are. So that's what happened to me. I actually had to come to terms that who I thought I was, it was not the true and the real me, but there was a much interesting person underneath that idea that I had about myself. And then in the north direction, once we have faced our own death, we work with the spirit of hummingbird. So hummingbird says, okay, if you're not all of that, then who are you? And hummingbird is this little bird that migrates, actually. There are hummingbirds that migrate from California in the US all the way to Miami, to the Caribbean, to drink the nectar when the seasons change. And so those are like hundreds of miles, thousands of miles. How does this little hummingbird accomplishes this epic journey? So it has a lot of medicine, hummingbird, the courage to go on our epic journey. We didn't come here just to pay bills, just to wake up and do the 9 to 5 thing every day, but we came to discover what is our unique gift, what is our passion, and how can we express that into the world? Like, how can we give our gift to the world? So we call this process soul retrieval, because in the name of work, in the name of fitting in society, the way society wants us to fit, in the name of belonging, in the name of paying bills, in the name of so much, we forget who we are. We forget our passion. We just leave it behind or hide it from ourselves because we have to perform. So in a certain way, most people in the Western world, modern world, have suffered soul loss. And it's our task to recover our soul. And when I faced my soul in the beginning, after a year and a half of training or so, my soul said, why would I come back? Look at you, look at your life. You're not free. I am free. I like to dance. I like to sing. I like to be in community. And look at you, isolated in an apartment, like slaved in just so constricted, so limiting. So I had to keep freeing myself from the old stories, and I had to keep dying to whom I was, the medicine of the South and West, until I really had peeled all those layers to retrieve my soul. And when my soul came back, my laughter came back. My new partner, in that releasing of everything, I ended up divorcing, not just my husband at the time, but I divorced that whole life that I was living. And I came together with my new partner, with whom I'm still married. And he's actually the founder of the Four Winds Society, which was the formal school, the formal school I went to live through the medicine wheel. And then I kept studying on my own with other healers and shamans and mystics in South America and beyond. But nevertheless, I owe so much to this medicine wheel, because then I was living the life that it made me happy and in which I felt like I could be myself and I could share who I was with others freely, without fear. So I retrieved my soul. And then the work of the East with the totem, the power animal of ego, has to do with, okay, it's not all about ourselves, like me, my cat, my dog, my kids, my family, my everything. It's about us. It's about the world too. So it's very beautiful, because at this point we have reached enough healing, enough awareness, enough vitality, power, wisdom, love, all of that to offer to the world. So this is actually what I'm really celebrating these days about this path is the fact that people come, our students come, and they think they're coming many times, often, that they're just coming for their own healing or to be a therapist or a shamanic practitioner to help a few neighbors or a few people here and there. But then in the end, they sign up. Their soul signs up to be earth keepers. Like, it's really about creating the world that we all know we need to create for the generations to come, and to respect and honor nature and all sentient beings, all life, really. So that is so beautiful, because people end up empowered enough to not just live their life and be well themselves, but then it's really about helping the world. Because otherwise we can become so addicted to our own healing, and there will always be something else to heal. So it's endless. We are like a bottomless well of stories that we could be healing. And the idea is not to become addicted to that, but as we start giving to the world with so much generosity and just flowing in that love and generosity, we receive so much. So the healing then keeps happening from giving, not from looking for more. We're not obsessed with more for ourselves. So it's a beautiful path, the medicine wheel. And the medicine wheel is actually a heroic path. That's why I wrote my book, Awakening Your Inner Shaman, a woman's heroic journey through the medicine wheel, something like that. But actually a woman's self-discovery through the medicine wheel, a journey of self-discovery. But I speak about the hero's journey in my book because in this departure for finding ourselves, in this seeking of our more authentic true self, we have to leave the comfort zone. If we remain in the same way of doing things, same way of living the rest of our lives, we are really not taking that opportunity to see the world or see our lives differently. So to go into deep transformation actually requires saying yes to a call that we feel within, and mythically it's known as the call to adventure, to go on an adventure, and shamanically we say it's the call from spirit to find who we are so we can become more self-realized, realize our life in a fuller way. So we leave that comfort zone, and then of course we have to die to whom we have been and discover who we are. And that's a hero's journey. The steps are crossing the veil from the comfort zone to the zone of transformation, of great potential for great transformation. And then it is actually, Joseph Campbell, the mythologist, calls it the belly of the whale, spending those days, those months, those weeks, however long it takes, facing the deconstruction of the old self. And it can be so scary. But mystics say those people that walk with so much light and laughter and joy and lightness and everything that we long for and that we could even envy if we don't have it, or we all have it, if we don't find it in ourselves. The mystics always say, they had to go really deep into themselves, into their own darkness, into their own pains and fears to get that light. So those people that walk with so much wisdom and luminosity is because they've done that journey to face the deepest fears and deepest challenges of life. And then we come back with wisdom if we make it, right? Not everybody makes it through their dark night of the soul, illnesses, crises, this and that. But if we make it, and then we have something to offer to the world. And that's what the hero's journey is also about. Sharing what they call in mythology the ultimate boon, that elixir of life, sharing it with the community. That which will enliven the community, share it. It's not to keep it to ourselves. And it takes courage to share our gifts, because we can still feel like, oh, I'm going to be judged. What are they going to say? I'm shy. I'm not good enough. So anyways, whenever we feel those limiting beliefs or feelings of not enough, of not being sufficient, then it's time to go around the medicine wheel again. Okay, let's clean again those stories of being this not enough. And then perhaps we have to die a little bit more. So the medicine wheel is actually this compass, this possibility to go in a spiral again and again into any of the directions that has the medicine that we need to keep evolving. And the processes are really powerful. So sometimes instead of having to go all the way around, another divorce, another crisis, another death, we can actually jump from one level to the next when we really start understanding the medicine of the medicine wheel. When we understand that wisdom is available, that love permeates everything, and when we start saying, yes, I am open to love, to offer my gifts, to push through my fears. So in a way, when we say yes to life, instead of having to be taken by the ear, pulled by the hair to another round of pain or another round of, deep transformation, death, and all of that, we can quantum leap into offering our gifts. So they say, shamans say, better to listen to spirit when it's a whisper than when, like Jonah and the whale, rather than when you're thrown into the big waters, the ocean, where everything feels too big and too overwhelming.
Oh, absolutely, Marcella. I couldn't agree with you more. I would much prefer to listen to the whispers of the shaman, the whispers of the ancient, than to be knocked over by a tsunami wave. I also loved how you shared about the medicine wheel. It's a subject I'm so fascinated with. What are your thoughts, Lee?
Well, we are very fascinated with the medicine wheel. And if I can just go someplace and come back for a moment, and I think it's germane to the whole idea. When we were doing the Lemurian teaching wheel back in 2017, shortly after that, what we wanted to do before we ever started the presentations on that is to see what other wheels in history were similar. Were there any? Were there any wheels at all that were being taught from? And we went into the Dharma wheels. We took a look at as much as we could. We went to some of the pictures in museums. And the closest thing we ever found were the indigenous medicine wheels.
Yeah,
and she's using.
wisdom.
I think she said she's using the Andean one.
Yes.
But they're very similar because they honor the directions and more. And so I honestly feel, just personally, that the medicine wheels that are being used today, including the one she's talked about, are derivatives of the core truths. And I believe they've come from what we have studied in the Lemurian teaching wheel.
And what I loved is that Marcella was telling us that the medicine wheel is like a map. Mm-hmm. It's like a compass to direct your life. And if that is something that you are interested in, I highly recommend going and taking a look at Marcella's website, marcellalobos.com. And you'll find loads of information there on the medicine wheel. And also there's information there on Muna Key that she has shared. And I just love this whole idea of the hero's journey.
I know.
As well.
But I want to thank Marcella so much for being with us.
Absolutely, absolutely. So thank you, Marcella, for joining us this evening and sharing your beautiful gifts with us, your story, your inspirational story, I might add, because it's not about the suffering, it's about transmutation and creating the most amazing life we can with the tools of the shaman.
So thank you, Monica. Thank you, Lee, for having me. I hope that inspires or helps some of the listeners, your audience, and blessings in this solstice. Aho.
Oh, and many, many blessings to you too, Marcella. We have truly been inspired by all of what you shared. I love the idea that we can just do a quantum leap. When we use that medicine wheel, we can spiral up, and no point in repeating it again and again and again. We can break the habit. One of the things that I loved is how Marcella said that love permeates everything, and we just need to say yes to love, yes to life. Isn't that the case?
It is indeed. And there are so many parallels I could draw by what she is saying, and I can't help it because I've been with all of the people that we've had on the show, including Greg Braden, who has said that very thing in our language and our science, is saying this is not your grandfather's world. Time will not repeat itself because we really have jumped off the track and have evolved into the next level.
Yes.
I think that's what we saw with the Andean cosmology with Nicholas Picard when we were in Peru.
Absolutely.
It's the same thing we're hearing.
And in case you are watching this and you haven't quite figured it out, Marcella is the beautiful partner of Alberto Villoldo, who we have had on the show previously. So together they are sharing the wisdom of the shamans. And again, you can find out more on Marcella herself, marcellalobos.com. Unbelievably, we are out of time, but I do invite you that when we go to break, go and take a look at Marcella's website. And this now is for the women. I get very excited about sharing this because there's a special section on her website. We didn't have time to talk about it this evening, but there's a special section on her website which is about the rite of the womb. And it is so beautiful, the feminine work that she has been doing, liberating so many women and stepping into their divine feminine and the creative energies that exist within us. And so without further ado, I think we are going to have to take a break.
Yep.
And we will see you back here in 10 minutes' time for the Circle of 12.